up, we have the Iron Claw, which this I'm gonna take a little bit of time with. So the Iron Claw was directed by, of course, Sean Durkin, and this stars Zac Efron, Lily James, Maura Tierney, Jeremy Allen Wright, and so many others. So that had my curiosity. And the premise of this movie is we are following, of course, a family of wrestlers, which everyone was hyping this up, and I wanted to see what the hype was about. The plot of this movie is that we're dealing with a family called the Von Erichs, and we see the struggles of this brother and family, and they made history as the intensive competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. Through tragedy and triumph under the shadow of their domineering father and coach, the brothers seek larger-than-life immortality on the biggest stages in sports. This movie was heartbreaking, to say the least. This was one of my most... This wasn't really on my radar. As you guys know, I am a casual A24 fan. Some of the stuff I like a lot more, but that problem I have with A24 is that they get a little bit too weird and a little bit too out there for my personal taste. So I definitely wasn't at all very much looking forward to seeing what this was going to be. But once I started hearing a lot of people talk about it, I became interested. I became interested to see what it was going to be. And having seen it, this, like I said, this is a devastating and heartbreaking film. And it is just very sad to watch. The biggest thing that holds this together is this is one of the best sports dramas I've ever seen, and one of the best films is Sean Durkin's direction and how he's able to tell a story about you have these brothers who is basically living for someone else's dreams, even though they have their own dreams. But it also is able to take an emotional toll on you and to go into directions that you don't really necessarily want to see. You basically are seeing each of these brothers having to take on the responsibility of being a wrestler, even though they don't want to do it. And with that, it takes an emotional toll on you personally, and showing how you have to close off the emotions just to do it for your brother. And there's so much in the Von Erich family that they unpack in this, and this movie, it hits the hardest, especially if you have siblings or if you have that. But this is a very tragic story about pro wrestling. And there is a mutual vulnerability in between parents and child and siblings relationships that it goes for. And people do things that they always think are doing right. It doesn't always work out the most, and sometimes it hurts. But I think the way it plays out, it just really just goes into what you're expecting. And so I definitely quite enjoy what this movie was going for. It shows that this shit is heartbreaking, and I very much have to appreciate that. So definitely gives you a lot of what you can play with in that. And that is just sad. Really, really sad to see it. I also think that the themes of that is really well done. The boxing sequences in this movie are phenomenal. They have some great sportsmanship and a lot of athleticism that goes into it, and it shows you the real side of wrestling. So I definitely give credit to where that's going to go, and it definitely does give you in terms of what you're going to get. So I definitely quite enjoyed what the movie had to offer in terms of that. And the boxing sequences are very well done. Cinematography work is beautiful to look at. There are even some of the heartbreak scenes and the drama strings that was waiting for you. This is a well shot and a well lit movie. You get the whole that this family has to stick together, and they are dealing with a lot of heavy turmoil in the Von Erich family. And I think that was really well done. I think the performances were good. I also thought in the boxy sequences, the sound mixing and the cinematography and the way this movie's written and direction and what I resonated with the story does a very good job in terms of what you could do and in terms of what you could play with. And it talks about the themes of brotherhood and fatherhood and the goodness that comes out of it, but also the sadness that comes out of it. And you see the main brother, Zac Efron, his relationship with his wife, how that takes a toll on him, but he still manages to keep it together. And displaying toxic masculinity and destructions that family ties and family expectations, that's very intense to see. From a score part, the musical score was really good here, especially the soundtrack choices here. And the era, and it stays true to that era, is the 70s and 80s. It's very well done. And as someone who is the only brother of 4 sisters, that was emotional. It was emotional for me to watch. And you want the best for your, even with parents, it can be hard for them to watch. Things you want them to achieve that could never achieve while crossing into dumping all of your baggage into that. And so living through, and parents having to live through your kids, and you can not achieve what you couldn't for your selfish reasons. So many examples throughout history in families and everyday life. It's there. But I also really think what really held it together was the performances here. Zac Efron, who really brings out a lot of his emotions, especially in the last half, and he got jacked up for this. He should be the next He-Man. And I feel like he should be in the consideration for some Academy Awards. He was great in this. He was really good and did very good at doing everything that performance needed to do. He was fantastic here. And I thought he really had a lot to give. I also really enjoy a lot of the rest of the cast. Jeremy Allen White. I haven't seen a lot of Shameless, but I think he's very good here. I also really enjoyed the matriarch of the family. Holt McCallany, he was good. As Dickinson as David Von Erich. You got Stanley Simons as Mike, Maura Tierney as Doris. The lovely Lily James, who I will love that girl forever. She is a great actress and a really damn underrated actress. Cinderella, Baby Driver. She just has a face that lights up a room. Lily James.
I'm just saying you're a babe. Own it.
Thanks. I guess.
Try to keep up.
The next one, they're going to get it on.
Yes, definitely.
Great.
Absolutely. I think it's signed, sealed, and delivered, honey.
Yeah.
She's not in it as much, but I think she was really good in this. Score was very good as well. I very much loved the score in terms of what they could play with. And it left me emotionally devastated by the end. I didn't cry, but I was just sitting there heartbroken watching for this family and all the shit they had to go through. My only real 2 issues when it comes to this movie is that this movie does leave an emotional gut punch on you after you watch it. So it's not going to be a movie you rewatch all the time. It is a little bit long, but because I was so invested, I didn't feel exhausted. And there's one brother in this movie that, while I do understand some people personally with the Von Erich family interviews wishing was in here, I understand why they took him out for creative liberties and theatrical reasons. Because you don't want to bring that much heavy emotional turmoil into a movie like this. But I can understand why some people not like being decision. At the end of the day, guys, I really did enjoy this movie, and I had a ton of fun with this movie. This movie was good. It was heartbreaking. It was emotional, but it hit me in all the right areas. And for that, the movie gave me what I wanted to see. It's going to be I'm actually going to put this in my top. I'm actually going to put this in my top favorites of this because I quite enjoyed a lot of what this movie had to offer. I thought this was very awesome. I thought this was really cool. And at the end of the day, this movie gave me what I wanted. And I definitely quite enjoyed this with what I wanted. So definitely a very entertaining watch to see what you're going to get. And I really liked it. If you are a fan of wrestling or a fan of A24, this movie I recommend this. Just know that this is a movie that is going to emotionally devastate the hell out of you. So, at the end of the day, I'm giving this a better than Vampire Academy for being so damn great.
Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. If you want to see more, my channel icon is up here. If you want to see more content from me, all my social medias are right here in this end card. I will also leave a playlist and a video here for you to see what the channel is about. As always, acknowledge me, stay Epictastic, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.